Now, women have been urged to take advantage of the government's efforts to empower women by setting aside 30% of government tenders to women, youth and persons with disabilities. Speaking at a women's workshop in Westlands, the Deputy President's wife, Rachel Ruto, said the $252 billion worth of tenders is meant to reduce poverty levels among women in the country. Mrs. Ruto also encouraged the women to join table banking initiatives for easy access to credit that will help them boost their businesses. Also in attendance at the workshop was Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi, Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, among other area leaders.
The vision of Joyful Women organization envisions a society where every woman is empowered to attain her full potential to support her family and the nation.
Sisi kama Wakenya tunakumbwa na umaskini, tunakumbwa na ujinga, tunakumbwa na ugonjwa, na hii program ambayo mnaendesha imemarisha biashara na itamaliza umaskini.
Hii Joy War inaweza enda ikuwe kielelezo katika bara la Afrika na katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na Westlands lazima tuende njia hiyo hiyo.
This week on Africa Weekly, we go to the Kenyan village where Barack Obama's father was born, that is Kogelo, ahead of the U.S. President's visit to the East African country, which is Kenya, later this month. We also meet the women fighting to eradicate female genital mutilation and head to Rwanda, where lions are making their grand comeback after being driven out by the country's 1994 genocide.
This week on Africa Week, we go to the Kenyan village where Barack Obama's father was born, ahead of the US President's visit to the East African country later this month. And we stay in Kenya to meet the women fighting to eradicate female genital mutilation and to keep the country on the path towards feminist reform. And finally, we head to Rwanda, where lions are making their grand return after being driven out by the country's 1994 genocide. But first, a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. The Islamic State jihadist group claimed responsibility for a missile attack on an Egyptian Navy vessel off North Sinai on Thursday. It is the first incident of its kind since jihadists launched an insurgency against the country's security forces 2 years ago, following a crackdown on Islamists. The attack took place in the same week as the bombing of the Italian consulate in the capital, also claimed by IS. Burundi's elections have been postponed until the 21st of July, with opposition groups maintaining their protest against President Nkurunziza's bid for a third term in power. Regional efforts to resolve the country's violent political crisis are being led by Uganda as gunfire and grenade explosions continue. In Rwanda, news that mirrors events in Burundi, as the Constitutional Court voted in favor of a reform allowing President Paul Kagame to run for his third term, but this time with the resounding support of lawmakers and over 3.7 million people, well over half of the electorate. It's been 2 years since Somali Islamists massacred 67 people in Kenya's Westgate Mall, which is now finally reopening its doors. The owners say security measures are in place and hope that shoppers will return despite the haunting memories. Zambian authorities on Monday dropped the case against a musician who was arrested over a bawdy song that lampoons the country's president as a drunk incompetent. Chama Fumba, whose stage name is Pilato, struck a defiant note outside the court, saying he was not fazed by the case and vowing to continue composing similar songs. Muslims in Libya celebrated Eid al-Fitr, the festival signaling the end of the holy month of fasting. The country has been plunged into chaos since the 2011 overthrow of dictator Muammar Gaddafi, with various political and armed factions vying for power. Residents of Barack Obama's ancestral village had hoped the US president would pass by them during his first visit to Kenya since he took office. But although he won't be able to make it this time, the villagers of Kogelo still view the Obama family with a sense of pride.
Those in Obama's ancestral village of Kogelo thank the US president for recent changes largely paid for by outside donors and the Kenyan government. National Grid electricity reached Kogelo for the first time hours after Obama won election in 2008. A paved road and piped water followed soon after.
When he has become the president, that's when we got the tarmac road, good water for drinking. This school got an ECD classroom, 2 classrooms, an office, and a store.
Obama is a source of pride and profit for many. But for the Kenyan Obamas, he is a family member first.
I'll greet him and he'll greet me in the language he knows. He'll ask me, "How are you, Granny?" And I'll tell him, "I'm fine."
In the family compound in Kogelo sit the newly refurbished graves of Sarah's husband and son, Barack Hussein Obama Sr. Though Obama has confirmed he won't be visiting the village during his trip to Kenya, those in Kogelo hope he will continue to inspire them.
What he has, proved to many Kenyans that despite your humble backgrounds, you can rise from, your humble backgrounds to become one of the most powerful people in the world.
In the lead up to the US president's visit, both Americans and Kenyans are united in this fascination at Obama's paternal heritage, reaching from a tiny African village to the White House in one single generation.
The prevalence of FGM in Kenya has fallen by 10% in the last 10 years, a testament to the country's increasingly punitive laws for circumcisers and new measures to ensure these laws are enforced. But as rescue homes begin to empty, a new trend is threatening to derail Kenya's fight against the harmful practice.
Here in Kenya, there's a lot of awareness on FGM, and then you have a lot of monitors at community level that actually know this girl is going to be cut, and then they alert the authorities. So what the families nowadays are doing is taking the girls to Tanzania to be cut.
Grace has worked with communities in both Tanzania and Kenya to address the issue. But the problem of cross-border trafficking for FGM doesn't end at the two countries' boundary. In Eastleigh, a predominantly Somali neighborhood in the capital of Nairobi, more and more girls from America and Europe are arriving to undergo the cut. Firdousa Ali Mohammed, an anti-FGM educator in Eastleigh, has found that these girls are often the daughters of Somali parents living abroad, where anti-FGM laws are stricter than those in Kenya, and circumcisers harder to come by.
We have seen girls who come abroad because it can't be done there, who come to Eastleigh or they go to Somalia to be done. Some of these girls are older than the age which are done here. So when they are brought here, they intermingle with other girls, and the other girls talk to them how circumcision has been done to them.
Despite these challenges, there is progress being made in the fight against FGM in Kenya, with new educational programs teaching young girls about the practice's harmful effects and the presence of rescue homes. Increasingly, Kenyans are refusing to be cut. Sharon Silantoy escaped to the Tesaro Rescue House 7 years ago after discovering her parents planned to take her for FGM. But last year, she decided to return to her community, confident that with Kenya's new laws in place, her parents would not try to have her cut again.
They are very afraid. For example, now, if parents tell me, for example, if my parents come and tell, or my mom, you have to be circumcised. Now, if I tell her, no, I do not have to be circumcised, it's my right for me to refuse, and I will take you to the police.
Sharon now hopes to one day attend secondary school and even university. But with the next school vacation, often dubbed the cutting season, approaching in August, Kenya's ability to cope with these new challenges will be put to the test.
Kigali's airport is preparing for an unusual type of passenger. 7 lions tranquilized and packed in these boxes are being sent from South Africa to Rwanda's eastern Akagera National Park. Lions disappeared from Rwanda following the 1994 genocide. They were driven out by displaced people who occupied part of the park. But now, the whole nation is glad the lions are back.
We're excited. We know it's good for our tourism, but a great milestone for conservation. As you know, we, as a nation, as a country, believe very much in protecting the environment.
The endangered animals will be put in quarantine for about 2 weeks in a giant pen before being released in the park.
Animals got out beautifully and in great condition, so we're very pleased. So I think adaptation in the boma should be good.
The park is now surrounded by electric fencing to protect residents and their livestock.
Lions can kill cows, but they fence the national park, so I don't think they'll be able to cross.
The return of the lions is hoped to give an important boost to tourism. And now that they've arrived safely, the park will soon be welcoming more animals, including rhinos.
Residents of